Hello, my name is Chris Christian. That is my legal name. I am a descendant of Fisher Ames. My father's name was Eugene Robert Ames. There is a book that traces our lineage going back to the early 1600s out of Easton, Massachusetts. This video and these series of videos are an open discussion. Me personally, I'm somebody who is I consider to be right center. Most of my friends are like a left center or all the way right. I don't have very few that are all the way left when it comes to the political spectrum. This is an open discussion of works by Fisher Ames as published by Seth Ames. Seth was one of his nephews, his brother. Fisher Ames' brother Nathaniel had Seth Ames, but Seth Ames decided to put all his uncle's works together and put them in two books. These are a very, very detailed snapshot of what was going on in the conversations between our founding fathers. Fisher Ames was one of our forgotten founding fathers. He was a Federalist, a statesman, known during that time as one of the best orators. He was admitted to Harvard at the age of 16, or actually 13. He graduated at 16, but he was opened up his own law practice, I believe, at 16 as well. So he was very into the political landscape and very much into the shaping and of the discussions around what went into the Constitution. He was a Massachusetts House of Representative member. He is the person who came up with the actual verbiage when it comes to the First Amendment to the Constitution. So there's a lot of history there, and in these books are letters that are going back and forth, and they aren't sugar-coated. They aren't watered down to spare anybody's feelings. There are quite a bit of humongous and difficult words that I've never even heard of before in there. I haven't read these entire books. This is a conversation. It's a journey to go through these books, hopefully chronologically, so we can see the letters that were written during that time, how they were written. He was a big believer that the Bible should be a textbook used in schools, not only for the stories and the lessons learned in regards to morality, but the verbiage and the way the King James Version communicated, he thought was just so spectacular that this is what English should be taught from. So that's the history from my perspective on why I want to get this done. Why I want to reading these letters out loud and videotaping, recording them, and then possibly transcribing them. I don't know how much trouble I'm going to get in with Liberty Fund. Liberty Fund is the actual publisher of these books. I want to give them all the credit in the world. I haven't seen too many of these books around, but they're in paperback, so they've got to be somewhere. They're full of essays from Confederation to Nation, attacking Republicans, essays on founding and patriotism, eulogies, speeches and letters. There's all chronological here. Conversations with Alexander Hamilton, letters to George Washington. A lot of people in here that I don't even know who they are. Thomas Dwight, Christopher Gore, George Minot. That sounds familiar. Oliver Wolcott, Samuel Haven. But yeah, all these people, some publishers, some representatives, some legislators, some lawyers, that can provide us an insight to what they were going through. And from what I feel into my heart and soul, the basic premise that his big fear of, he feared democracy. He feared the Thomas Jefferson perspective of what this country should be, as well as if we do not adhere to a more strict moral standard, and I believe that was based off of the teachings of the Bible. If we didn't adhere to the Bible, granted that the religious views protected in the First Amendment, if we didn't subscribe as a nation to some sort of moral standard, as a nation, what we define as our liberties and our freedom were subject to ridicule, subject to not self-serving, I believe. And if we didn't have that strict moral code, then we could, what we take as a freedom, and I think that discussion is so relevant now based off of what's coming out of the abortion laws in Texas and such, and Roe versus Wade. And I'm not going to say an opinion on either way. I just want to have the conversation. But it's still, a lot of this stuff is relevant. And I think both sides, the right and the left and the far right, both need to understand that they had these conversations when they founded this country. They had the understanding of a democracy meant majority rule. That's not how this country, that's not the heart and soul of this country. This heart and soul of this country is protecting the minority. That's what this country is founded on. Protecting the little guy. Liberties, freedoms. But as long as they're not hurting other people. So both sides of the conversation. Fisher Ames. I look forward to going through these and reading these with you. I might redo this over and over again until I get it right, but I don't want to put on a show. I just want to read through them and then discuss.